I mean, on one level, it was a seminal cult from the late 50s and early 60s. It was a group of people, young people, mostly in their 20s, who were getting totally fed up with England, after the war and the suppression and everything that happened in England, and were starting to sort of listen to the deeper vibes, and a lot was happening in those years anyway. Things were coming out of the woodwork. Crowley was being re-examined, in new terms. I think revolution was a way in which things were handled in the past, and I'd like to think at this point that we don't need revolutions. In other words, we don't need to turn everything upside down and start again like the French Revolution. What we really need is an evolution from where we are at this particular point. So the stuff which we haven't found useful drops away, and what we find useful we can apply to the making of the new world. We're creative beings. We're creative beings. We were created as creative beings. We have the creator God inside us. There is the urge to, whether it comes from to create as a manifestation of investigation. One creates in order to. I mean, I write my books not knowing what I'm going to write. I write them to find out what I don't know, not to write about what I know, because what I know, everybody else knows. We were, in a sense, we could be perceived like a group of sort of performance artists, in a sense. I mean, our ceremonies were terrifically vital. The music was good. Being in a cult, gives you those big pupils. You see. The two people who originally started it, emerged out of Scientology, disliked that, but found the e-meter very good device to work with. And so we recreated our own sort of sessions, and then went from there. And then gradually, more and more people gathered together, and we bought a big house, and then we were kicked out of England. We started looking for an island. Went on from there. So I don't think atheism as a social system works. People do have to have something to believe in, but and probably, being probably pretty undisciplined animals on the whole, they need to be whipped, until they can't stand it anymore. And then at some point, they start asking the deeper question, and that's really when it starts. Suffering is actually, it seems to be an interesting way, but suffering does do a lot of good for people. It developed compassion, it developed a depth of understanding of self, and often leads to, a transcendent experience of one sort or another.
Hey, Timothy, when you looked at the camera earlier and you said, "Do you know who I am?" That was a really good question. Who are you?
I don't think I'm going to go on camera with that one.
Why not?
Because I certainly would not want that to appear on YouTube. But I was one of the three people who kind of formed it. I was the first of their guinea pigs, put it that way. That was useful. It was a useful period.